Hey, Geeky Pastimes here, and in today's video I'm going to look at the Halo Infinite art and kind of what it tells us about the game. This has obviously been posted by Microsoft, ready for the big reveal tomorrow at the Xbox event, so we'll have a look at kind of what things we can tell about the game from the art, what it hints at, what we can speculate on, and also some of the other rumours that are going around the internet. If you do like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, it helps me out a lot. Go over to Twitch and follow me there, I'm Geeky Pastimes. So let's get into this image. So this was posted by the sort of official Halo account, and it's been put up on the Microsoft press account as well. So you can see that it's meant to be used for box art, but then also loads of other things. Like they've got versions of it for like social media banners and things like that, and massive posters, both vertical and horizontal. So I think we're going to be seeing this piece of art quite a lot. They obviously want to use this to introduce people to the idea of Halo Infinite. Now, when we get art like this, it's kind of key art, then we can look into it and sort of find things that they wanted us to know about the game based on this art, because any kind of key features might be introduced here. So the big thing that we can see straight away is obviously the Halo itself, that this game is going to be set on a Halo like the first Halo game was. This Halo looks like it's been shattered, it's not under construction, it's actually been broken, so I imagine that's something that we're going to be looking at as kind of what's happened to it, and maybe what caused that. Now you can also see in the distance there's some Forerunner structures, some like really big ones. The one on the left that's firing up that blue light, that's something that we saw right at the very beginning of Halo. The first time you land on a Halo, you go and see one of these things, and it's kind of your first introduction to this kind of Forerunner style of architecture. And you can even see in this, they've sort of lit it up with a sort of reflection of the sunlight, the ramp that goes up the side. I'm sure it'll be super familiar to anyone that's played a Halo game. Then we've also got this other type of architecture, these kind of almost walls of towers or slats. It's hard to see exactly what they are, and they go all the way across the image. They make this quite nice line that sort of curves through the center of the image. We don't know what that is. Like, it could be something Forerunner still, although it looks like maybe it's slightly different. It's got a slightly different color palette. It's definitely gone for this sort of shinier white look, rather than the sort of blue and grey that we normally associate with Forerunner. So that could be a hint of something new, something mysterious about this particular Halo. We also have a bunch of wildlife and trees, which is quite nice because some of the older Halo games, especially, maybe because of limitations to do with the engine, are actually quite sort of sparse. You didn't see that much kind of foliage and fauna and things like that. So hopefully this is a kind of hint that this is very much alive. And we've heard rumours that this game is going to be much more open world. That doesn't mean necessarily the whole game is going to be one big open world, like The Witcher or something like that. I think it's more likely that it'll be the Metro Exodus route, where maybe there's kind of some big areas, 4 or 5 huge areas where you do missions in it, and you can go off and do side missions, you can find secret things, and then at some point in the story you move on to the next area. I think that'd be really cool. I think that'd be a really cool way of doing it, and obviously it sort of starts making me think maybe they're going to do a battle royale with some of these big wide open areas. Like, obviously that's massively just speculation, but that would be awesome. I personally would love that. I know some people get sick of every game adding a battle royale mode. I would be super excited if that happened. Some of the other things we can see, if you look over on the right, you've got these kind of circular structures, which again, we've seen kind of stuff in that style, and that looks a bit more like a sort of Forerunner structure there. We've seen things like portals and things like that maybe look a bit like that. And then you've also got this Wasp Vehicle. So this is an airborne vehicle that we've seen before in Halo games. They're very nimble, single-seaters, and it's crashed, and I think the implication is that Master Chief's come from it, so maybe that's how he's ended up in this situation on this Halo. There's also a Pelican flying, so we know he's not alone, and we kind of knew that already from one of the teaser trailers where he was talking to somebody. So we know there's somebody else near this Halo. Maybe he's going to be someone who's kind of guiding you and giving you missions and stuff, because Cortana might be out of the picture. Now, looking at obviously the main thing is Master Chief himself. He's got this big chunky armor. I really like that look. It sort of looks a bit more similar to the original Halo, maybe. I really like that sort of style of it, where he does look like he's a walking tank more than anything else. Now, one of the things that people have been really focusing on is this on his left forearm, you can see this grappling hook type thing. So if that is a grappling hook, that's something that actually lines up with some of the rumours we've heard elsewhere. So on the subreddit Gaming Leaks and Rumours, I saw this post the other day. that I thought, okay, that seems kind of interesting, but maybe it's not really based on anything. It's just coming from the Resetera forum, where some people are sort of discussing some things that a supposed insider has talked about. But the fact that he talked about a grappling hook, and now we've actually seen the grappling hook on a piece of key art, I think that's pretty much confirmation that it's going to be part of the game and something that they're very happy with. Now, obviously, the inclusion of a grappling hook makes you think maybe more of like wide open areas, which Halo's been known for in the past. You know, the levels are generally pretty open in Halo, at least most of them are. But definitely the idea that maybe mobility is going to be a bigger deal in this. Now, some of the other things that were talked about in that post were that the grappling hook will be a power-up, so it'd be something that you'd equip, which we've seen before with things like the bubble shield and stuff. We've seen that in Halo games before, that you can have a piece of equipment on. Other pieces of equipment that it talks about are thrust, sprint, and overshield. So thrust, I'm guessing, would be like vertical movement. Sprint lets you run faster, which I quite like the game not having sprint on a button like Call of Duty does. I think Halo works a bit better when the mobility is all kind of at the same pace, and you having to choose to use your equipment slot to equip a sprint. And then it becomes much more tactical when you would use it, like maybe use it and capture the flag, or maybe you would use it to attack or to retreat from somewhere. Rather than just everyone having it all the time. It does say on this sort of leak rumor post that the multiplayer classic gameplay won't be absolute and might change over time. I think lots of games are kind of going into the idea of being a game as service and of them doing seasons maybe, and I think that could be quite a cool way of doing Halo if you started out with kind of more like Halo 1 multiplayer and then kept adding features. So, you know, maybe one season we'll get something like firefight, maybe one season we'll add dual wielding like Halo 2 did, or something like that. I think that would be a really cool way of doing it, sort of keep the game fresh all the time. Because I'm sure a lot of people in the sort of first month or so of gameplay would be pretty happy if it just had maybe multiplayer, maybe some of the larger big team battle stuff, and the campaign, especially if it's a co-op campaign, which I assume it will be. Like maybe that would be enough for the beginning, and then they can add more and more features as it goes on. I think that would be a really cool way of doing it, especially if it's free editions, obviously. It also mentions the Forge. The Forge is going to bring ridiculous customization. We've seen Halo go really big on Forge before, and some people make incredibly cool stuff. It's really cool for making stuff that you can mess around with your friends, and if they have a really good way of sharing stuff, that might be a nice way of showing off some features of the Xbox Series X. If it's got some really cool ability to sort of like look at more popular content, download stuff, do almost like modded type stuff, so you can download like game types or maps, I think that would be really cool. That'd be something that I'd be really excited about. And obviously it's brilliant for content creators, because then you've got like constantly new things to try out, new things to explore. And, you know, it'd be a cool thing if we can get good at making stuff in it. So very excited about all of those rumors, really. The other big thing is obviously whether it's going to have a Battle Royale or not. Like I've said, the fact it's open world, the fact that Battle Royale games are very popular still, you know, Warzone's showing that. I know people think, oh, okay, everything doesn't need a Battle Royale, it's going a bit too far now. Personally, I'd love there to be a Halo Battle Royale. I think that could be really different from everything else we've seen. It could be awesome, like dropping in maybe like an ODST, so you're not quite as powerful as a Spartan, but like dropping in, choosing where you're going to be, and then having to sort of like scavenge for stuff, but also having all of those Halo vehicles and some of those Halo abilities. I think it could be something really different and really special. So I know in tomorrow's reveal, the Xbox reveals 5 PM BST, we are seeing Halo campaign. The fact that they specified that makes me think we're probably not going to see any multiplayer, other than maybe like a tiny little teaser or something. But it would be so cool if they just mentioned like, oh, by the way, we've got like a new Battle Royale mode on its way. Even if they just mentioned it, I would be super excited. So anyway, really excited to have a look at this. One of the other things I want to talk about, obviously like and subscribe, follow me on Twitch, all of that usual stuff, but I've also started up a subreddit. Now, I've done this partly because on Reddit, I get really annoyed when I go onto Reddit because I'm really excited about a game. I get hyped up about stuff easily, as you can tell by the way I'm talking about Halo. And I always want to talk to other people who are hyped about something. And nearly every subreddit I go on, there's loads of negativity towards the gaming companies, towards the games themselves, towards people who like the games, sort of saying, oh, you're an idiot if you like this. I like the old ones. They're much better. I really kind of hate all of that stuff. And obviously there's a place for criticism, and there's plenty of places on the internet where you can criticize stuff. I've tried to make something a little bit different. So I've started this subreddit. It literally just started just now before I made this video. It's called Positive Gaming. And if you'd like to go have a look at it, I'd really appreciate it. Just check it out. Leave a post, talk about games you really like, talk about the old games that you love, talk about games that you're playing right now and what you think's brilliant about them, and talk about games you're hyped for seeing, you know, things like Cyberpunk and Star Wars Squadrons and Halo Infinite, the new Fable game that we should be seeing tomorrow. Talk about all of that stuff and just like try and build a community where it might not be the place you always go to for like to talk about games, because sometimes you want to criticize something, sometimes things are frustrating, but it'll be a cool place for, if you're just excited about something, to go talk to other people who are excited about it and kind of get away from some of that negativity that pervades the rest of the internet. So go check it out, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time, and goodbye.